the regret, right? George Mack got this idea of being 85 years old, dying, having full of regrets in this really shitty nursing home, and the door opens, it's hallucination, whatever. The best version of you walks in, the one that is 85-year-old too, old, but he's not sick, he's not rotting on a bed. He's in fact very successful, and he says to you, the future self who did not give up on many things, said to the current self, you who was about to die with so many regrets, hey dude, what if I give you all my money in my bank account and give you a new life? But you have to promise me, which is yourself, that you will do something different. This really stuck with me because I thought about this so many times before. But I just brush it to the side because I'm like, oh, only like freaking like 32-year-olds, I don't know, 45-year-olds, 52-year-olds think about this stuff. Like me, as a 17-year-old, I mean, it really hit me when I first started smoking cannabis, actually, not because of the cannabis, because it took me out of my previous environment, which was me. Like, it was ridiculous. I don't want to go into the deep details of it, but it was me. In the few months of COVID, in the few months of the initial lockdown, I was just sitting down. I was just sitting like behind this. So my bed has like a frame, like tall frame. It's like, actually I can show it right now. So it makes sense. It's really funny what I was doing. So that's my bed, right? Okay, where's my finger? So this is a frame. Suppose that there's a space behind this frame, like a really small space, right? And I didn't do any drugs at all, but I would just sit behind my bed, behind that frame, and just watch train videos. I was getting senile. Like, I was literally nerfing myself, having the lowest agency ever. So yeah, smoking cannabis took me out of the environment because I couldn't smoke at home, right? And obviously with cannabis, it's called a gateway drug for a reason, because if someone, well, I don't want to say weak-minded, but there are weak-minded individuals, a lot of weak-minded individuals. I used to be one of them, but other weak-minded individuals could really go down the spiral. It took me out of the environment though. Being the gateway drug, I also really picked up nicotine addiction like heavily. Before I started using cannabis, I had like underlying addiction issues. I was like addicted to watching YouTube and stuff, and I was vaping too, but like it wasn't that serious. But yeah, the cannabis plus me I didn't understand what I was getting into. So it created this weird mindset where I just kept smoking because I thought this was the only way out for some reason. But no, those thoughts hit me during those times, right? Like me thinking, what happened to me if I grow old? Would I look back at this time and be like, okay, am I doing the right things? Am I I mean, am I doing the right things for me, for me in my 20s or my early teens? And unfortunately, the answer was no. Or fortunately, because it led me to escape myself even more, which led me to do more drugs, which led me to realizing ultimately that what I was doing, I would just, well, it wasn't a good trajectory, like at all. Yeah, it's really interesting, the regret. I call this the regret, like, capital T and capital R, regret, the regret. It's just a philosophical question. What if you're just suddenly 85-year-old doing the same exact thing that you're doing right now? So for me, like, I've been not taking care of myself for the past 7 years. Like, I'm still young, but me realizing this, like, I screwed up my life for 7 years, almost 7 years, right? Because I know exactly when I gain consciousness. Like, it's weird. I have my own belief regarding consciousness, transcendent stuff, basically things that have to do with the divine, right? But I had these brief moments of consciousness when I was a kid, and it wasn't enough to, like, self-actualize anything, right? Or realize anything. That, realization come before self-actualization. But when I was 10, when I came to this country, it was just like I grew up all of a sudden. Like, I had a consciousness. I knew what I was doing. But I chose the easy way out because, I'm not giving myself any excuse for this. I think for most people that are listening to this, I don't know who's this gonna show up to. Like, I hope it just get one view other than myself, and it hopes, I don't know, I hope it gets 3 views and it piss one person off. It sticks with another person. It's just stick in the back of their mind, and it helps another person out. And that's the 3 views I'm hoping for. But if you're listening to this and you really want to push yourself, you can't give yourself excuses. You can't give yourself excuses at all. I gave myself almost 7 years of excuse, right? Because when I was 10, when I was 11, when I was 12, I started realizing that, oh wait, I'm here in this world, right? Like, something came over me. It's definitely a hard journey, and like, I could say that everything that happened to me was supposed to happen to me, and it just basically putting my whole life on the idea of determinism, which I thought about it. It's just incredibly limiting because, my whole life is determined. Then what's the whole point, right? Like, if I know that I'm gonna become XYZ, like, I know that for sure. Well, what's the point of me? It's just very nihilistic. What's the point of me doing? Because I know that I'm gonna get to a certain goal. It's like, for example, I don't know. Let's say I'm gonna become a quadrillionaire or something. If I know I'm gonna get to that point, then what's the point of getting there? To me, it just dispels any purpose, because I know I'm gonna get there. What's the point? What is the point? Like, obviously this is not across all issues. It just, well, from my standpoint, you have to set yourself an expectation or a goal. And obviously I'm 22, so when I'm older, all this is subject to change. Right? I'm gonna look back at this and just be like, what the hell is this idiot talking about? You have to set yourself a goal and gauge at it realistically, right? So if I want to become a quadrillionaire, that's not possible from my standpoint right now. I have to realize this because many people, I fell into that trap of just having endless delusion of, yeah, I'm gonna get there, but, well, you're just focused on the end result, but what you have to really focus on is the now progress. This is so simple. At least it sounds very simple to me. Maybe many people have trouble with this. So yeah, if you really want to push yourself to the beyond, you have to give yourself no excuses. Even for me, it just sounds harsh. I do not excuse my 12-year-old self for being the way that he was. Because instead of playing Roblox, I could have perfectly. No, but again, me is who I am right now. Who I was at 12-year-old, that's a different self. So I'm gonna call him he, because he's not me anymore. Right? Like, people have to make this clear distinction. You're not your past self. Your past self could have done some really stupid shit, could have fucked shit up, but he or she, they're not you anymore. You just have those memories, right? So me, 2 seconds ago, doing this gesture, that's not me anymore. I'm doing this again, but then this is my current self doing this gesture. I'm no longer my past self from 1 second ago. So this is an important thing to realize for many people actually. I'm actually just teaching myself as I go along. This is why I hope this gains a little bit of attention, because my plan for this channel I'm not gonna delete any videos. Right? You can just see me, derpy kid, making Roblox skits and then trying to copy other people like Connor 3D, that Irish Roblox YouTuber that does tutorials of how to get these Roblox event hats, something that Roblox used to do. And I was just copying him. I just want people to see the progress, right? How much I changed. All this is not orchestrated, right? Well, obviously I had a plan to change, but none of this, I couldn't have imagined this 2-3 years ago, not even 6 months ago. 6 months ago, look, not even 2 months ago actually, maybe not even a month ago, because when you really start changing and when you start sticking with it, you realize time is just an illusion, right? Something that could be done in 5 years, you can compress it down in 5 days. Now it's obviously a lot of stress. So for me, this obviously comes at a great personal cost. My lungs kind of hurt from smoking, and I'm extremely lonely right now. Actually, in fact, I don't know. Look, it's just a price that you have to pay, right? Even me at this stage, I don't have anything to show, and if I do, I'm not even gonna show it, because at the point when I have quote unquote enough to show, I'll be doing something else. That wouldn't even come across my mind actually. So it's very important to have that psychological or thought experiment with yourself, right? You're like you at this current trajectory, like you could be, I don't know, doing whatever, smoking whatever fucking vape, like 21 Savage blueberry vapes, whatever they got nowadays, right? Or just doing something really stupid, like committing a crime, or like committing a crime. I make it sound like 12-year-old committing a crime. No, but if you're just engaging in criminal activity with the wrong group of people who just want money or whatever, and look, it's just never too late to change. It's just never too late to change. That's my whole point. I keep on trying to go into these deep philosophical analogies, but no, it's never too late to change. You have to put yourself like in this position where you imagine your 85-year-old self who've been in prison, who been beat up, who been bankrupt just because of like a certain mindset that you've been carrying with you. Just imagine what you at that point will say to your current self. And just be realistic as possible, right? If your old self, if that future self of you that didn't do shit with his life or her life, that if you think that self would try to be like passive aggressive toward you, imagine that, right? So I can imagine me at this current trajectory. Me at like 85-year-old, just completely just whacked out of his mind, I wouldn't probably even be alive by 85-year-old on this trajectory, actually. It takes you to a very dark place, but it's often in these dark places you learn more and more about yourself. So yeah, for me, like, me at 85-year-old, I wouldn't even be alive, I wouldn't even be talking. Like I would just be, there's this horrible image in my mind where just like my grandfather passed away from lung cancer. I'm just lying in a bed on a sheet because they know that I'm gonna pass away. So, it just save the trouble. They're just gonna fucking wrap me up after I die. Right? It's just really uncomfortable, but then I don't even care about the comfort because I'm just regretting about my life. Right? Just lying on that bed, lying on that sheet, taking like your last few hundred breaths, right? Because at that point, I imagine my breath will be shallow, but very fast, very rapid. So a few hundred breaths realistically could just be an hour. I could just have 1 hour left in my life. Right, at that stage, dude, just taking yourself in a really dark place, I wouldn't want that. Just imagining that, I wouldn't want that at all. Yeah, from just from my example, right? Because I smoke a lot, I'm extremely coherent and extremely aware right now because I'm 22. I'm 22 years old. But then if I continue this, then that prescribed future that I just that I just listed, that prescribed future where I was just dying where I'm dying on the hospital bed, it's not too far off in this current trajectory, right? Yeah, you have to put yourself in a really dark spot in order to just see yourself, really. You absolutely can't excuse yourself, no matter how unfair it is. because me at 12-year-old, I couldn't have noticed like what I needed to do, but to me that's not an excuse, because I knew I had to push myself, right? I knew that my dad was just like a little bit of, like, again, you know, I have my opinions on my father. I sometimes don't even call him my father. Right? I have like harsh opinion on both my parents. Sometimes I don't even call them my parents. But at that point, like when I was 12, subconsciously I understood that my parents are dealing with their own troubles. I just wanted them to tell the truth, but I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to do anything. Right? So look, I put the blame on my past self, of course, but that past self is not me anymore. That past self, like, it's a frame in time, you know, that I can look back and reference to. It's very harsh. It's extremely harsh. I hope I explained enough, and I think I certainly did. So this series, I'm gonna call this one the regrets, but this series is just me and self-improvement, quote unquote self-improvement. But this is just documenting my journey. Like, I want to be able to speak, to be able to get to where I am, to where I want to be. I mean, I got to where I am right now. I want to get to where I want to be, documenting it, like full, authentic. Like, I don't care if I don't get paid for this, because I curse in the first 8 seconds, or like, I don't know, I have a fucking weed pen in my hand. I don't care. I just want people to see the progress, to see like, so yeah, I just want people to see the progress. I made so much progress from who I was. That was about 10 years ago, actually. 2016, 2017, 2018. That wasn't that long actually. Dude, man, like I was trying to record another point, right? But then I kept cutting myself off, and I kept dragging on my point. The thing is, you have to care, man. You really, really have to care. Like, simple example, I care about smoking weed because it makes me feel good. I don't care about, I know where my addiction lies, and this is not one of them. Obviously the vape, I'm very addicted to vapes. They're just very convenient. Like, you gotta care, you gotta know where you stand in certain issues, otherwise it would just be slop, right? My parents, they didn't care about how they're gonna live in this country. They only care about the money. And now, obviously, you know, they're starting to realize. At first in my mom, now I think my father's starting to realize this, and it's just brutal, because it put me alone. Like, you know, it's almost like your parents are drug addicts and now they're in rehab, but like, what do you do? Now that's extreme example. Divide that example by, like, I don't know, 20, 15, 200, and you get a small part of it. And what I'm saying is, you divide that big example, and then you just get me, right? How my situation looks. Like, yeah, you gotta really care, or else your life would just become a slop. Right? Yeah, these are the points I want to make. this is just a series to document my life. I really care about self-growth. I really care about not putting myself in a position where I was a few years ago. I really care about just making the most out of myself. Like, I really do care about that. I really don't care about anything else. Really, I'm just driven, but sometimes I'm still trying to work myself out. Not great sometimes, but I'm just driven, and I don't cut myself any slack anymore. I don't put myself in excusatory states anymore, you know. Because there's no excuse. There's absolutely none. There's, again, like, look, there's no way I could have realized, me at 12 years old, I should be like self-improvement or whatever. But by me not blaming myself at 12 years old, I'm refusing to take accountability of what the root cause is, you know? Me at 12 years old just running away from life by playing Roblox all the time, by just not having any defense mechanism against my bullies. Got bullied so much, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great. That's all I can say. I don't want to go to dark places, because I went there, you know, given that example of me like dying in a sheet on a bed, like regretting my life. Yeah. Not great. You really gotta care. You really gotta put yourself in thought experiments. You can't give yourself slack at all. Not at all. I can't give myself any slack, because I'm very responsible for how my life turned out right now. Not great. Anyways, hope someone gets something out of this. The regret. Listen to George Mack. Listen to George Mack. Listen to Chris Williamson. Listen to Joe Rogan. Listen to Andrew Huberman. Listen to all these people. They're not cool or hip in the traditional sense or whatever, but they'll save your life, because there's a lot of cynicism in the world right now. A lot of people blaming the very people who are responsible for creating society as we know it. People blaming the government, in short. When you blame, like, you know, it's for example, just like you blaming your parents for something, right? It just creates this mindset of, oh, they created me, I'm blaming them, they're bad, so I'm bad too. And then it goes into this fucking weird cycle of cynicism, jadedness, and narcissism. It's bad. Okay. Please. Do your research before you decide to smoke weed. Do your research before you decide to do psychedelic or any other drugs. You can't escape from drugs. It's just part of society. Coffee, caffeine, sugar. Can't escape it. But do research. Don't give up. Don't beat yourself up, but take accountability. Because I beat myself a lot. I beat myself up a lot. I used to hit myself on the head, like as a kid, and like I didn't realize the inner demon I had in myself. You have to realize the inner demon you have inside yourself, and you have to alchemize that energy, right? I didn't realize this, so that's why I was hitting myself in the head. Okay, this went over 30 minutes, and we're good.